This is the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather reporting. Good evening. President Bush today asked Manuel Noriega to give up power in Panama. Noriega's government claimed its presidential candidate was winning in returns from Sunday's elections, but U.S. observers told President Bush that in truth the opposition was leading by more than 2-1 when Noriega's troops began storming into polling places Sunday night. From the White House, Leslie Stahl begins our coverage.
President Bush repeated long-standing U.S. policy today that Noriega must go, but didn't say how he plans to accomplish that. He joined the chorus of calls for the dictator to respect the will of the Panamanian people.
There's been a massive voice of the people heard. There has been a statement for democracy so loud and so clear that perhaps even General Noriega will listen to it.
If Noriega doesn't listen, White House spokesmen say the president is considering the use of military force as well as new economic sanctions. But for now, sources say there's a behind-the-scenes effort to persuade Noriega not to declare his candidate the winner as a way of removing the pressure for immediate U.S. action.
Put it this way, General Noriega knows my position.
How?
Never mind, he knows.
Did you call him up?
It's been told in recent, and he knows about it through recent contacts.
But a member of the president's observer team is urging immediate direct action, possibly even a military invasion.
The options that are left for us are difficult, dangerous, have a risk factor, but at times a nation has to do what its national security interest requires. So we're going to take action. The time to do it, in my opinion, is now and in the next few days.
But Jimmy Carter, who told Mr. Bush he personally witnessed massive fraud in the election, urged the president to go slow, arguing vigorously against any military action.
And to have an overt display of military force, I think, would probably be what Noriega would like to see. I think this would convince many of the doubting Panamanians that the United States does intend to attack their little country.
Another option, offer again to drop the drug indictment of Noriega.
And as unpalatable as this may sound, if it requires lifting of indictments in order to get him to leave, I would consider that, because his continued presence means continued involvement in drugs.
President Carter told George Bush that Noriega didn't think he was going to lose, that he was stunned by the outcome and is now rethinking what to do. Carter's advice to go slow, to wait for other countries to condemn Noriega, made an impact here. Leslie Stahl, CBS News, the White House.
It came as no surprise today when the government's newspapers proclaimed that General Noriega's candidates had won.
2
days after the polls closed, the first results finally announced on national TV. General Noriega's candidates winning by a margin of 2-1. There's nothing we can do about it because they have the guns, said this man. General Noriega, a specialist in psychological warfare, put those guns on display by deploying soldiers in full battle gear into the streets in an effort to discourage demonstrations like yesterday's. Noriega's troops came out shooting when the demonstrators neared election headquarters. Frustrated protesters could only vent their anger on a huge billboard showing Noriega's presidential candidate. Again today, the opposition claimed victory.
There is no question but that the votes show that Guillermo Endara is the next president of Panama.
In an effort to mobilize diplomatic support, they visited the Vatican envoy. Already, the Catholic Church has come out strongly against Noriega, saying its own polls show his candidates lost badly. Meanwhile, the U.S. Southern Command reported that an American sailor was badly beaten by 3 Panamanian soldiers. Officials say it's only the latest incident in a year-long campaign of harassment of U.S. forces here. Just yesterday, the American ambassador warned the U.S. wouldn't take it anymore.
If it happens once more, that'll be the last time. You'll see much stronger retaliation.
But tough talk has never worked with Noriega, and as long as his soldiers remain loyal, there's no indication it'll work now. Juan Vasquez, CBS News, Panama City.
The United States already has a big military presence in Panama, bigger in total than Noriega's whole army. CBS News Defense Department correspondent David Martin reports tonight President Bush may want to make it even bigger. David?
Dan, President Bush is considering sending a brigade of 3,000 combat troops into Panama to reinforce the 10,000 American servicemen already there. CBS News has been told the troops would be sent in as part of an economic and diplomatic package of sanctions against the Noriega regime if it claims victory in the election.
The combat brigade would be sent to protect American interests, both the Canal and U.S. citizens living in Panama, from possible reprisals by Noriega once the economic and diplomatic sanctions go into effect. Among the options before the president, a reduction in the staff of the U.S. Embassy in Panama, moving the families of American military personnel on to military bases in the Canal Zone or out of the country entirely. In addition to protecting Americans, the combat brigade would be a means of threatening Noriega with the use of force if he continues to defy the United States. There already is one combat brigade stationed at Panama, and the addition of a second brigade would give the U.S. a military advantage over the 15,000-man Panamanian Defense Forces, many of whom are little more than policemen. The Pentagon has very little enthusiasm for sending more U.S. troops to Panama. Noriega has consistently defied the U.S. in the past, and officials see little reason to believe the addition of a combat brigade will make him back down. White House officials worry that if Noriega continues to defy the U.S., the Bush administration will be left with the choice of having its bluff called or resorting to military force.
Dan, officials say President Bush does not plan to make any decisions about sanctions or military action until Panama officially announces the results of the election.
David Martin of the Pentagon, thank you. Military men tried to overthrow the civilian government of Guatemala today, but the government said it quashed the rebellion and arrested its leaders. No shots were fired. This was the second coup attempt against President Benicio Cerezo, elected in 1986 after 3 decades of Guatemalan military rule. Still to come tonight on the CBS Evening News, Jerry Bowen on Utah scientists battling doubt on cold fusion, and David Dow on a move to give Vietnam veterans the benefit of the doubt on Agent Orange.
Look at Frank's yard. I don't have a yard like that. Look at that hill. I don't have a hill like that. Look at that John Deere tractor. I don't need a tractor like that. I just need a good, basic tractor. You want to see what I got?
Introducing the new STX lawn tractor, the basic John Deere, with a price that's just as basic.
Feel your oats with Post Oat Flakes. Feel your oats with Post Oat Flakes. Golden toasted flakes with whole grain oat nutrition and a crunchy oat taste. Feel your oats with Post Oat Flakes.
You're on your way.
The company that gave me a summer job in Louisiana last year has sent me to Germany this year. And we've got an interesting challenge, getting a special product to people who need it all over the world. It's used in formulating medical compounds that fight heart disease, high blood pressure, and more. Hard to imagine a college senior working on a project like this. But I found one company willing to give a young person a chance.
Now lets you do great things.
Gas pain, bloating. Gas-X has the strongest, fastest relief ingredient. Painful gas is like beer bubbles. Add the leading antacid. Add Gas-X. Only Gas-X gets rid of the gas. The strongest, fastest reliever for gas pain and bloating. Gas-X.
A dramatic turn tonight in the battle for Northwest Airlines. Individual investors and even labor unions have maneuvered over the months in a multi-billion-dollar campaign to take over Northwest Airlines. But today, as correspondent Mark Phillips reports, a surprising new bidder flew into the fray. And what happens next could change the face of the aviation industry.
So here's Pan Am, deep in debt, losing millions, selling assets, struggling to stay alive. And here's Northwest, prosperous, well-funded, owner of valuable Japanese real estate. Yet in today's upside-down airline world, the sickly Pan Am has announced it's considering buying the healthy Northwest, the most devouring the elephant.
We believe that it makes good business sense and that it is an opportunity that we should not let pass by idly.
It's considered enough of an opportunity that major credible investors are considering backing the deal.
The transaction makes sense as a business combination between the two for the logic of the fits between the route structures of the two companies.
The deal is logical because the two airlines now go head-to-head on very few routes. If they merge, it would turn Pan Am Northwest into a dream airline, offering a full domestic system, feeding an international system serving 5 continents. But But this would have been an impossible dream if West Coast media and oil mogul Marvin Davis hadn't begun a hostile takeover of Northwest, prompting the airline to advertise for other, more friendly buyers.
Northwest would much prefer, and its employees would prefer to be acquired by Pan Am or with Pan Am than they would be taken over by some corporate raider.
NWA's board of directors, working with its financial and legal advisors, will consider Pan Am's request for information.
The deal is far from done. One hurdle, the unions.
But the Pan American has to sit down and address their problems with us. There'll be no deal whatsoever without us.
Deregulation was supposed to mean more airlines, more competition, and lower fares. But lately, more competition has meant fewer airlines and rising fares. The Pan Am Northwest merger, if it happens, could be the latest example of this trend. Mark Phillips, CBS News, Washington.
For many Vietnam veterans, there was welcome news today thanks to a federal court ruling in San Francisco. This ruling involves the chemical defoliant Agent Orange and its effects. David Dow has our report.
16 years after the last Agent Orange was sprayed on Vietnam jungles, a federal judge has struck a blow for veterans who insist they are victims of the potent herbicide. He has ordered the federal government to reconsider the claims of 31,000 veterans who have been denied health benefits.
This doesn't come as a surprise to any Vietnam veteran. We all know the government has been unfair.
There's so many veterans who are ill, so many veterans who have died from illnesses that we think are associated with Agent Orange and their families, and they have never gotten any compensation. So this means a lot to us.
Veterans have claimed their exposure to Agent Orange was the cause of cancer, liver disease, and birth defects. Former Marine Arno Wagonmakers, who died of liver and lung disorders at age 37, never doubted the cause.
My husband was never a bitter person. He always felt that he served his country and he was proud to do so. And he always stated that he died in Vietnam and didn't know it.
But in awarding Agent Orange-related benefits, the Veterans Administration has generally recognized only one illness, a non-fatal skin condition called chloracne. Judge Thelton Henderson ruled the government standards were too demanding and failed to give veterans the benefit of the doubt. The judge added, "We find that these errors sharply tip the scales against veterans." The Veterans Administration declined comment on the ruling while deciding whether to appeal it. Plaintiffs, including Julio Gonzalez, braced for an extended battle.
If we have to force the VA, fine, we'll force the VA. I figured no one's going to take care of our needs but us.
For the 31,000 who've applied for benefits and been rejected, the ruling means a new chance. It's a chance that could now extend to thousands more who feel they're victims of Agent Orange but have never requested benefits. David Dow, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Another tragic fire, the second in 3 weeks aboard a U.S. Navy ship today. 6 sailors were killed when fires swept through the boiler room of the supply ship White Plains in the South China Sea. 5 others were injured, none of them critically.
If I didn't care more than words can say.
Someday, someone will convince you to try Kellogg's Nutri-Grain. 6 healthy whole grain cereals with no sugar added or preservatives.
Would all this be true if I didn't care for you?
Whole grain Nutri-Grain.
Ladies, now you can stop shaving and enjoy beautiful hair-free legs for weeks at a time with the new Lady Remington Smooth and Silky Cordless Rechargeable Hair Removal System. Lady Remington's Smooth and Silky Soft, Hygienic Rotating Roller quickly removes hair below the skin at root level. Revolutionize your shaving habits and enjoy hair-free legs for weeks at a time. Lady Remington Smooth and Silky is the perfect hair removal system.
This dry, dull paneling is a good place to do some serious writing about Old English. It moisturizes, helps prevent drying and cracking, and brings hidden beauty to the surface. Old English, oil or aerosol, a more caring approach to wood care. Oops, a little imperfection, but a perfect place for Old English scratch cover. It's a simple way to cover a scratch, touch up the marks of time, or a flaw on the floor. Old English scratch cover, a more caring approach to wood care.
The House Ethics Committee disclosed today it may expand its investigation of House Speaker Jim Wright. The committee will meet tomorrow to decide whether to open a full-scale look into a gas drilling venture that proved profitable for Wright. This came as Wright mounted another counterattack, zeroing in on one of his chief accusers and the way that accuser worked. CBS News Chief Washington correspondent Bob Schieffer has details.
As Wright's new defense team, now headed by Houston trial lawyer Stephen Sussman, arrived at the Capitol today, it was clear that before Wright gets his day before the Ethics Committee, they'll try to put Ethics Committee lawyer Richard Phelan and his methods on trial.
Mr. Phelan has not treated the Speaker fairly. There are serious problems of scholarship, and there are errors in his legal examination and his basic research that would not normally be tolerated.
The Speaker himself was even blunter today. He accused Phelan of shocking inaccuracy and a lack of professionalism. Using words such as lies, distortion, and falsehood, he accused Phelan of misquoting witnesses in order to show that Wright's wife, Betty, had done little work in return for the $18,000 annual salary she received from a Fort Worth developer.
We want a full, fair, open, public hearing of all the facts.
In a series of legal documents, Wright's lawyers asked the committee today to let them question all witnesses the committee questioned, read all the more than 7,000 pages of testimony, and see all other evidence the committee has gathered, and bar Phelan from communicating with the committee unless Wright's lawyers are present. In coming days, they'll also ask that some of the charges be dropped entirely. Late today, Phelan was asked about the personal attacks on him.
I don't want to come to that. You'll have to judge for yourself.
California Congressman Julian Dixon, who heads the Ethics Committee, said today he's proud of the way the investigation has been going and suggested that Wright's attack on the committee lawyer is just part of a defense strategy. But at the very least, today's developments mean it may be well into June before the Wright hearings get underway. Bob Schieffer, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
What critics call the extra-inning investigation of Cincinnati manager Pete Rose is in the hands of the ultimate umpire tonight. Frank Courier reports on that.
As Pete Rose practiced batting with his son before tonight's game at home, a report on baseball's nearly 3-month-long investigation into Rose's gambling went to the commissioner today.
Are you hopeful? Do you feel
Hopeful what?
that things are going to come out for you?
Well, certainly.
Commissioner Bart Giamatti, in a statement, said, "I will now study the report thoroughly."
Whatever he will do, I think Pete Rose has been treated fairly, and I think whatever the commissioner does, he'll be treated fairly and have every opportunity if the commissioner decides to do something.
As CBS News has reported, baseball investigators were told Rose bet on baseball, including the Reds. Former bookie Ron Peters, who's awaiting sentencing on drug and tax charges, claims Rose bet more than $1 million through him over a 2-year period.
But sources close to the case say there may not be a smoking gun directly linking Rose to bets on baseball. So Giamatti, amidst a growing wave of public sentiment for Rose, must weigh the evidence he has.
My own guess is that whatever decision he makes will be so sound that it's not going to be a challengeable decision.
Most experts agree in deciding what, if any, punishment Pete Rose should get. Giamatti has broad powers backed up by the courts. In effect, the commissioner is judge, jury, and prosecutor.
He would not be bound by the same restrictions as a federal court, for instance, to have to prove conclusively that there was some wrongdoing here.
It's better than being a federal judge because you can be almost God himself.
For Pete Rose, faced with a year's suspension if he wagered on baseball or banishment from the game for life if he bet on the Reds, the endless weeks of waiting are nearly over. Frank Courier, CBS News, Cincinnati.
Right now, a trip to your favorite store could mean a trip to Florida or just about anywhere in the USA. It's the Holiday Inn Great Vacation Giveaway. Just look for these specially marked Procter & Gamble packages for a chance to win one of 1,000 Holiday Inn vacation packages. And everyone instantly receives the Holiday Inn bonus offer. Buy your first weekend night and get a bonus second night. So don't just sit there. Shop your way to a great vacation.
What about my connecting flight? Miss, the weather is delaying everything.
I've only got a weekend pass.
Just as there are headaches,
Now the computer's down.
And headaches. There's aspirin and Anacin. The Anacin aspirin formula relieves headaches better than regular aspirin.
Weather's better.
And your headache?
Not just better. Better.
Anacin. Not just better. Better.
And for an even better price, look for this Anacin coupon ad in Sunday's paper.
Just this much Cortaid heals more kinds of itches and rashes than all of these. Because Cortaid has a clinically proven healing medicine they don't have. That's why Cortaid is the itch aid.
If every time you look around it seems like your rug is dirty, try Woolite Spot and Stain Rug Cleaner. Because it contains the ingredient Fiberpel, it keeps your heavy traffic areas cleaner longer than the other liquid spray. Trust Woolite Spot and Stain Rug Cleaner.
A new round in the fight over fusion. Chemists Stanley Pons and Martin Fleischmann, who say they fused atoms at room temperature, took their much-attacked discovery to an electrochemical conference in Los Angeles. And as correspondent Jerry Bowen reports, the results were, well, electric.
It's come to this now, big, eager crowds.
I hope indeed it is for real, because if it is, it's going to revolutionize the world.
Nervous rent-a-cops guarding the doors.
No cameras, no tape recorders.
It isn't the Hollywood palladium, it's about palladium in a jar. Pons and Fleischmann, the kings of cold fusion, revealing the latest last night to fellow scientists behind closed doors, and still later to reporters.
For the first time, we've reported high bursts of thermal energy lasting up to 2 days.
The beleaguered scientists now claim to get up to 5,000% more energy out of their controversial experiments than they put in, but the critics were quick to attack.
We have no evidence in our laboratory with any of our samples for fusion.
And again last night, the University of Utah researchers were blasted for not sharing exactly how their experiments are done.
Without these exact facts, we will never be certain that our samples have reproduced their samples.
I beg your pardon, the background is available in the corrections to the paper.
That might be. I would like to specifically hear whether or not helium...
Don't
Could we go on to the questions, please?
The continuing problem for the Utah team is that while a dozen laboratories around the world have duplicated some parts of the research, many more have not. Fleischmann and Pons said last night they've always been ready to concede their work may be faulty if someone can prove them wrong. Today, scientists attending the electrochemical convention indicated the jury is getting restless.
If they are confirmed, of course, it's a major historical event. If they are not, then it is a fiasco.
The Utah researchers hope to publish all their findings by summer's end. In the meantime, there will be more scientific seminars and more squabbling. Jerry Bowen, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Ooh, smells good.
Like a Carolina pine forest. That's Lysol Pine Action. I cleaned this morning. It disinfects and works fast. But the scent lasts for hours.
It's nice, but how'd they get a pine forest in there?
Lysol Pine Action. The clean of pine every time.
New Light Scent Love My Carpet. The light scent not to be made light of. It's tougher on tough carpet odors than Arm & Hammer Light. Light Scent Love My Carpet. Delightful.
When you grip a Delta faucet, you get more than just water. You get a chance to express yourself. Do it right now, and Delta will foot part of the bill. Up to $35 toward installation costs. Call toll-free by May 31st for rebate details and our free brochure. Because now's the time to grab the phone. And a great deal when you get a grip on yourself with Delta.
Just couldn't wait until tomorrow? Look at this.
The world runs on fax.
How'd they messenger it so fast?
They didn't. And one network was made to run it.
This is the original. Look at it.
MCI Fax, the world's dedicated fax network, with quality and power you can't get from ordinary phone lines. That's why leading fax manufacturers recommend it.
What kind of a machine do they... No. What kind of network?
With MCI Fax, it's there already.
Secretary of State Baker arrives in Moscow tomorrow for talks that he says will definitely put a Bush stamp on U.S.-Soviet relations. American officials say Baker will ask the Soviets to do more to bring peace to the Middle East and Central America. The Soviets would like the U.S. to do more to bring peace to Afghanistan. That is, by ending American military support for rebels fighting the Soviet-backed Afghan government. U.S. officials say that's not about to happen. Correspondent Bob Fall reports tonight from inside Afghanistan on the war nearly 3 months after Soviet troops retreated home.
This is the face of war in Afghanistan. 10-year-old Cherindel burned when he picked up a magnesium flare. And 6-month-old Barkatullah, starving in a country with the highest infant mortality rate in the world. In this capital city, 70% of all children under 5 are malnourished. As the Civil War continues, health care here largely disappears. Even hospitals cannot get what patients need.
We need eggs, meats, rices, oils.
This, too, is the face of war in Afghanistan. 11-year-old Mir Weiss, who stepped on a landmine and who's learning now to use an artificial leg. 20-year-old Abdul Habib is learning, too. A landmine cost him both legs. But the frantic Red Cross effort here is falling short. In this war, an estimated 25,000 Afghanis lost legs last year. But this center, the only one in the country, could outfit only 300 of them.
In February, it's really difficult to find iron sheets, leather, iron pipes, and the prices are more or less 3-4 times more than before.
What for many is a horror is for everyone an inconvenience. Long lines, wait for gasoline when it's available. When it isn't, which is often, tempers flare.
1 month I don't have petrol for my car.
With the capital besieged and many roads blocked, food supplies are meager and prices are skyrocketing. Bread costs 4 times what it cost 3 months ago. To prevent hoarding and to maintain order, soldiers guard bakeries. Free flour and sugar distributed by the United Nations are snapped up quickly. But in 1 month, the UN can deliver only 100 tons. Kabul needs 6 times that much flour in 1 day alone. In the words of one Afghani military pilot, when the Russian forces were here, every day was a disaster. Now, things are starting to quiet down. In the quiet now, such as here in Kandahar, there is sometimes more rubble than shelter. This suburb of Herat, shown to Western journalists for the first time, is now a ghost town, bombed by Russians to retaliate after rebel guerrillas murdered and beheaded Russian soldiers. Violence here is centuries old, is part of the Afghan character, but this war is raising new questions. Cherindel will need skin grafts, but doctors here cannot perform the surgery. After a few months, Abdul Habib's new legs will wear out. Who, he wonders, will replace them? They are only 2 casualties in a war so devastating that soon, said one who loves the country, soon there will be nothing left for the victors to inherit. Bob Fall, CBS News, Kabul.
And that's tonight's CBS Evening News. Dan Rather, see you tomorrow. Good night.
I'm Harry Smith.
And I'm Kathleen Sullivan. Tomorrow, a new treatment for Lyme disease, a frightening and sometimes fatal disease.
Also, Roberta Flack and Jill Eikenberry on CBS This Morning.
This is CBS.